Thank you, Annette. Good evening, everyone. So if you allow me to speak English, I would really appreciate. Spent some years in Sweden working for Roche many years ago, so speak Swedish, but still, Swedish is almost gone now, so and have a hard time to switch to Danish. Having said so, perhaps a few words. So I joined topotarget as a CEO about a year ago. Coming from the US, I was a CEO of a vaccine company, and before I worked for Merck Inc. in the US, where I was deeply involved into HDAC inhibitors, explaining relatively easily why I accepted the job as a CEO for topotarget, which has an HDAC inhibitor as a flagship product. So having said so, we really embarked about a year ago, or close to a year ago, into a major transformation program for the company, moving the company towards a more structured organization and also prioritize the pipeline, towards belinostat, towards HDAC inhibitor, and creating a more lean development team and a more focused organization to belinostat, and at the same time re-evaluating the pipeline that we've been doing the last 9 months. And close also the basic research, because clearly, we clearly understood that we could not afford to do basic research properly on top of belinostat development. So that was the work, that was done over the last 9 months. We do believe that we have a fairly strong investment case at topotarget, and here are the main reasons why. We do have a track record of success with the successful development of Savine and Totect against extravasation of anthracyclines that we've been put on the market, so getting to a registered product, Savine and Totect. The pipeline, I will address it a bit later on. There is a pipeline that we are re-evaluating, as I said earlier, and we will be making some official conclusions, or communicating our conclusions fairly soon. We do have a partnerships, especially one strong partnership in place with an American-based company on the west coast of the US. So this is a kind of a new concept in biotech, where two small to mid-cap companies are jointly developing drugs in oncology. So the partner in question is Spectrum Pharmaceuticals. Clearly, HDAC inhibitors is one of the hottest targets in oncology. You have VEGF, Avastin, EGFR, mTOR, and HDAC inhibitors. And our flagship product does belong to this class of compounds. And as I said just a minute ago, so we have now refined the program. So we have redefined in which indications do we want to focus on, and also we did add a few others that we will be communicating later on during the year. Altogether, so we believe that we have a strong investment case, and the product is really has a blockbuster potential. So going into a little bit more details about the strategy for topotarget for this year. So clearly we have a registration strategy for belinostat, and not just doing some trials there and there. No, we want to focus on trials that will lead to a registration in the US and in Europe. We have certainly the ambition to have multiple approvals for belinostat in many indications down the road. So I would come to that later on. We also, obviously, as I said earlier, we have a strong partner in the US, Spectrum, in which we have licensed out the rights for the US, Mexico, Canada, first right of offer to China. At the same time, we are working on what can we do for Europe and for Asia-Pac, Asia-Pacific as well. So evaluating partnership possibilities as well. Optimization of our strategy for our pipeline. This is an ongoing work. And for Totect, since you all know maybe that we have a license out, divested actually, Savine to a European-based company, so we are reevaluating our strategy for Totect, which is the same product marketed in the US right now. A few words about this HDAC inhibitor class. So HDAC inhibitors are basically enzymes that down-regulating actually cell growth divisions. And mainly, how does that work? It's an epigenetic mechanism of action. HDAC inhibitors turn off genes, and if you basically are if you are inhibiting HDAC, you in turn activating some of the genes that in turn lead to a cascade of events intracellular that lead to cell death, apoptosis. So the ultimate outcome of HDAC inhibitors is apoptosis. That's the way it works to kill cancer cell. And we know that it works both in solid tumors and also in liquid tumors. So we said we have a very strong rationale for belinostat. And why? Because compared to most of our competitors, we are in a very favorable situation. And why? So first of all, we have a safety profile that has been unmatched. No other compound on the market can claim the same safety profile. We have now a database of close to 800 patients without any major side effects. That means without any grade 3, grade 4. We have, of course, side effects, but not major ones. And that's a very significant attribute for our product. The other piece is that we have this ability to combine belinostat to many other drugs, to many other cancer agents in the marketplace. And that also does help us to design and to work and in which indications you would like to develop further the drug. And the last piece is that we are working on different formulations. So currently we have the IV, intravenous. We have also the continuous infusion, and we are planning to develop a commercial oral formulation as well. So we view that partnerships are really key to success. This is probably nothing strange to you. Spectrum, I just talked about that. We have also a partnership with the famous NCI in the US, which is the institution performing clinical trials with the highest ethical standards in the scientific and medical community. So we have a number of different trials with them. And then with Astellas and with Novartis for our compounds in our pipeline. So Spectrum, the partnership was signed off a year ago. It's a total deal value of $350 million US, plus double-digit royalties. And under this agreement, Spectrum will fund our registration trial, what we call BELIEVE, the PTCL trial, fully, while we are funding the CUP, so cancer of unknown primary, fully as well. And then for any other indications to come, we will have a cost-sharing exercise, basically 70% for Spectrum and 30% for us. So that way will be the process to really develop belinostat as a blockbuster for many other indications to come. And we have full rights in Europe and in Asia, which is, of course, very important. This is what we call our FTO, freedom to operate. So if you look at the right side on this slide, you see a number of different indications in which we, not only us, but also our external advisors coming from the US and from Europe, that we have a number of different indications in which we have a high likelihood of success to develop the drugs. So PTCL is just, the beginning on the top of this chart. And then we have CUP, which is a bigger size, a bigger indication. 2 to 4% of the population do have CUP, cancer of unknown primary, which means cancer for which we don't know the origin. And then we are working also in non-small cell lung cancer. I will show you a bit later on. And we have other plans in the other indications that are listed over there. Altogether, so we certainly estimate that we have plans that could lead, down the road, of course not tomorrow, to a blockbuster potential for our product. So going a little bit into more details now, you see on this slide where we are with regard to the development of belinostat per phase. So you see, believe we are in pivotal trial, and we will be submitting to the FDA by the end of this year. Actually, Spectrum will do so. CUP, you see that we have finished the randomized phase 2, and we are going to get the results during H2 of this year. And then several other indications in which we are pursuing combination treatment in solid tumors, and I will also say a bit more words a bit later on about that. So just to show you that, we, when I joined the company, really we have streamlined the company and focused the company behind belinostat, and really trying to extract most of the value of the compound by going into several indications. So this is the first pivotal trial, PTCL. So as I said, the NDA to be submitted by the end of the year. We have about 100 more sites involved in PTCL worldwide. And this trial came out of good phase 2 that were presented at ASCO in 2009 with the 32% response rate. For PTCL, we've got an SPA, and we've got so therefore a fast-track approval process, and that's important for in terms of time frame to get the approval. Cancer of unknown primary. So we are now finished. So we finished exactly on time, as promised, as committed to you guys. This study by year end. I was working very late at night to absolutely, make sure that we do finish by year end, and getting the results at the beginning of H2 of this year. So the top line results, and then we have further plans to basically embark on another phase 3 most likely, to make sure we have an indication that we can register. Non-small cell. So non-small cell lung cancer is really the big indication. It's also one of the most difficult ones, and we have started a randomized phase 1, phase 2, run by Spectrum, so only in the US, to test the belinostat in a subpopulation, and in combination, so it's belinostat and carbotaxol. So based on the results that will come down the road, we will decide or not to move into a phase 3 program. So if we look at the competition, because of course, everything in oncology and also in some other areas has to be based on the competitors. So we are in a fairly good situation. For CUP, no other drug has been approved over the last 15 years. All drugs are approved, so we have really a chance to make it through. In PTCL, it's a little bit more competitive, but still, there is not any HDAC inhibitor yet approved in PTCL. Celgene has submitted an application for PTCL, and is approved in CTCL, which is cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, another type of lymphoma, a different one. And if you look at non-small cell and other indications, of course there are competitors, but clearly we will not develop the drugs in the total populations in this indication. We will select subpopulations using biomarkers to make sure that we have a good response. So our pipeline now. So we have APO 866, and APO 866 is the study is now over, and we are waiting for the results to the phase 2 in CTCL, cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. ZMAB, APO10, and mTOR are various compounds in the early stage of development, and that we will not continue to develop on our own. So basically, we are looking for partners to develop these compounds. TOTECT. So TOTECT. So this is the Savine in Europe, TOTECT in the US. So this is really a best-in-class drug within a cancer treatment. You see on the right-hand side, anthracycline extravasation, when the nurse is doing some mistake, infusing anthracycline. So you see what it does to the hand, and then the cure is TOTECT, and then you see the outcome in here. So really, it's a good product, but it is a small product, and therefore we are looking for strategic options as well to make the best out of it. So I will go through very quickly through the financing part of, since we are waiting to communicate the Q4 results. But basically, we will end up the year. We did end up the year, the 010, at around 200 million DKK. So, of course, we did book the $30 million given to us by Spectrum during the first quarter of this year, and again, we will be we have a net cash position of around 25+ million euros. That's the expectation, that will be communicated later on by the end of 010. Now, topotarget was relatively silent in 010, but you all know that. It will not be the case this year. So this year we have a news flow coming up, really an intensive news flow coming up. So we have the filing during H2, the NDA rolling of PTCL. We have CUP data during H2 of the year. And we have also other results that are presented in here, coming from sponsored trials. And I look at the slide here, so coming from ovarian. So ovarian is another indication in which we expect belinostat to be fairly active, and in which we may have some other plans down the road to embark on another phase 3. So at the same time, as I said earlier, and I still using the submarine analogy, internally, that we went on a deep dive mode, during 010. So really, this year will be the year where we are re-emerging the topotarget submarine. So we have a number of news flows, as I said just a minute ago, and we will communicate our strategy fairly soon to you in a lot of details, explaining exactly where we are going, which indications we have chosen to go for. We're planning also to have at least one abstract, at ASCO, which is the big, the grand mess of oncology in the US, and working on finding a partner for Europe and for Asia Pac. So these coming up 2 slides are the summary of topotarget. So we are really a small, lean, dedicated company, about 40 employees, entirely focused onto the development of the drug. So moving the company from research to a late-stage development company, and getting close to the commercial organization and close to the commercial stage as well. We are really focused, as I said, onto the development of belinostat with our partner Spectrum in the US, and on our own for now in Europe. And we are certainly reevaluating the strategy for TOTECT, and from a shareholder standpoint, I mean, you know all of this, that Health Cap Fund and Avenger Pension and 3 AP Fund are the main institutional shareholders of topotarget. And we, from a cash standpoint, so we have at least cash, you know, at least until the end of 2012, without counting the milestones coming from the deals, the deal with Spectrum, the 350 million dollars deal with Spectrum that will allow us to continue our programs far beyond 2012. So this is in a nutshell what the new topotarget is all about. Any questions? No question.
Yes. Du nævner lidt, jeg tager den på dansk, nævner lidt omkring partnerstrategi. Hvordan ser I en ny regional aftale? Vil I gå efter at lave en co-marketing? Vil I gå efter en almindelig royalty deal? I er jo lidt mere modne nu, end da I var, da I lavede den oprindelige aftale, så vil I prøve at få en større del af kagen?
In Europe, you mean?
In Europe or in Asia?
We have a kind of I think I got the question. I dare to say it, you know. I think we'll have a very pragmatic approach on that, and therefore the main thing is, you know, looking at the Berlinostat, since we have a US partner, you know, we are not urgently, you know, knocking at the door of other companies. So therefore, it's a pragmatic approach. We will evaluate partnership possibilities. We need to remain and to retain enough rights internally as well to grow the company, to go to the next level. So if you clearly ask me, you know, what do we need to do? We need first to continue working with our US partner, you know, and get the milestones, and at the same time, you know, have a pragmatic approach and trying to build also on our own the company in Europe. Asia Pac is a different story. In Asia Pacific, you need to have studies done in Asia. You need to have it's a totally different ball game. It's far away. It costs a lot of money in Japan, especially. You know, I used to work in not in Japan directly, but from the US at Merck in Japan, and it's so for Japan we're looking more for a partner for sure.
Hvad med i forhold til strategien med at lave en partneraftale før fase 3 data kontra efter fase 3 data? Det er klart, bliver det positive data, så taler vi en helt anden pris. Modsat så ved vi også godt, cancer fase 3, der er en pæn risiko for, at det ikke går rigtigt ud. Så hvis man venter med at lave en partneraftale, og det kommer dårlige data, så er det heller ikke så sjovt at lave en partneraftale på kun COP-data. Så hvad tænker I forhold til strategi? Vil I gerne prøve at presse på for at lave en partneraftale relativt hurtigt, eller vil I hellere satse og lave en efter fase 3?
I probably need to help me because I think I've got it, but so, you know, with regard to after phase 3 or before phase 3, the partnership, yes, in Europe. Good question. You know, it all depends on the strengths of the data as well, and how much, you know, if we have a partner in Asia, if we have a partner in the US, you know, and then, I mean, vis-a-vis CUP, for instance, you know, if we are able to get CUP to the marketplace, I think I have a very pragmatic approach. I cannot give you a single answer to that one. I give you an answer, I say, well, it depends. Who is knocking on our door and how much money they put on the table. But the main thing that I would like you to remember is that we are not desperate to find a partner in Europe. We want to do it right for you, for the shareholders, you know, we want to grow the company. The goal would be to make a leading oncology company in, you know, in Scandinavia with a Danish base. So that's the goal. So there are several ways to get there, you know. So if we partner everything, you know, you may tell me, okay, what's left over? Which is a good question. So at the same time, you know, if we have an opportunity to be to have a partner, a big pharma partner, for instance, you know, what should we say no? And then acquire other molecules and to grow the company step by step. So it will be a stepwise process.
I have wondered why didn't yourself have any shares in topotarget. I think that it is a good sign to others to show that you believe in the company.
For sure, I believe in the company. Otherwise, I would have never joined.
Buy some shares.
Yes. And I believe in the company because, you know, when I was at Merck, you know, I mean, I was the worldwide head of oncology at Merck, and we had Zolinza, so vorinostat, which is a direct competitor of benostat. So I know this drug fairly well. I know the response rates. It's, you know, it's fairly low, and I know the side effect profile is fairly bad, and I know that it's difficult to combine. It's toxic, you know. So you don't find this here. Benostat is really a best-in-class drug, you know. And we need to extract most of it. So it's really a best-in-class drug. I mean, no one can dispute that. And I can say this, you know, upfront to an audience also full of physicians, you know, as well, you know. And by the way, you know, one of the things that we've been doing, we've been building up a global oncology advisory board, which now consists of the most thought leaders in the world. Yeah? So we have Van Hoff, for instance. So in a few days and weeks, you will see on our website, we will announce the names that have accepted to be our advisors. And so many from the US, same for Europe. And these guys are the best ones. So that's ring the bell, you know. The compound is good.
Så har jeg et mere. Der har været en del forskel på mellem topotargets bud på PTCL-markedet og Spektrums bud på størrelsen. Hvor er I henne nu? Altså, der har været stor forskel på, hvor mange $100 million potentielt salg der er på PTCL.
Yeah. Around, yes. Yeah. That's the around the kind of a market estimation, yes, for PTCL worldwide. And the PTCL is run by Spectrum, as I said. And we prefer that because there is full accountability on Spectrum for PTCL. We have full accountability for CUP. And then for the other indication, it's a joint development program. And we are sharing the cost as well. Yes. Yeah, we have, in our estimation, we have priced at a similar price compared to our competitors. So that's the reason why it was up, and that was not taken into account before my time.
Hvis vi kigger på CUP, har I kigget lidt på et eventuelt fase 3-studie, hvordan det kan se ud? Altså, du nævner selv, at I her i Q1 egentlig vil kigge lidt mere ned på strategien i forhold til hele stoffet, men kan du allerede nu afsløre lidt, hvordan et fase 3-program kunne se ud?
I think I got it, but I want to just to make sure. Sorry. Yes. Yes.
Elaborate a little bit on if we were going to make a phase 3 study in CUP, how would that look?
So first of all, I mean, we are really working hard on strategizing on CUP. So that means how can we get as fast as we can to the market? How can we really do it as fast as we can? So we are looking at several options. The phase 3 will most likely, without disclosing anything, so the TV here, the same kind of design as the phase 2, because this is the way regulatory bodies want us to do. They want to do it the same. Otherwise, you have to redo the phase 2. So if you have good phase 2 data, then the logical way is to have the same program for phase 3 at a bigger scale. But we're also working at other alternatives, aiming at really getting to the market as soon as we can. Because there is no drug approved, nothing. Tak så mycket.